Did you know? Pokemon Snap didn't originally start out as a Pokemon game, and it may not have started out as a photography game either. In 1996, Nintendo partnered with HAL Laboratories to establish the Jack and the Beanstalk project. The project's team consisted of at least 10 employees handpicked by key Nintendo figures including Shigesato Itoi, Satoru Iwata, and Shigeru Miyamoto. The team was mostly made up of members from outside the video game industry, including director Yoichi Yamamoto, who was originally a construction designer. The team's first project, called Jack and the Beanstalk, entered development for the Nintendo 64 disk drive and was announced at Tokyo Game Show in spring of 1997. It's rumored to have taken full advantage of the new features the peripheral included, such as its internal clock. While the game was never demonstrated publicly, advertisements and other promotional material listed Jack and the Beanstalk as a simulation game. Not much is known about Jack and the Beanstalk before it became a photography-based game. Some ideas are that it may have included a mechanic where the player could plant seeds which would grow in real time. It's also thought that ideas from Jack and the Beanstalk were reused in other projects that members of the team worked on, including the unreleased Earthbound 64. Jack and the Beanstalk was intimately tied to the team's name, and their logo can be seen in the intro of Pokemon Snap alongside the logos for Nintendo and HAL Laboratories. It's thought that the photography theme was chosen to take advantage of the 64DD's 38 megabytes of dynamic writable memory. This feature would allow for large amounts of high-quality images to be stored, ideal for saving in-game images.
When the team began development on a game about photography, however, it didn't feature Pokemon. According to former Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, originally, Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo 64 system wasn't a Pokemon game, but rather a normal game in which you took photos. But the motivation for playing the game wasn't clear. We wondered what players would enjoy taking pictures of, and later on we made a somewhat forced switch into taking pictures of Pokemon. This decision was ultimately for the best, but at the time it was met with mixed feelings from the team. HAL Laboratories character supervisor Masanobu Yamamoto recalled, "I was involved as a designer, so when characters other than the ones we had designed were used, I had a slightly negative reaction to it. That time, adopting the Pokemon world clarified what we should do and the direction we should head, and I came to like Pokemon, so I felt that had saved us." Even after the shift to Pokemon, not everything survived the development process. Early beta footage of the game featured Ekans, but the Pokemon was cut sometime during development. This is particularly interesting as the final version of the game contains exactly 63 Pokemon. If Ekans had been included, it would have pushed the total to 64. This may have been a deliberate choice to reference the Nintendo 64. There's also evidence of at least 2 additional levels being cut from the game. The beta footage contains scenes from what appears to be a very rough version of a desert-themed area. Ikuko Momori, the composer for Pokemon Snap, also uploaded an unused song from the game called Fantastic Horror. She did this on her website, calling it a tune for a lost stage. From the name of the level and the sound of the music, it seems like this was meant for a stage based on Ghost-type Pokemon. Since the first generation only contained 3 Ghost Pokemon, this may be why the stage was cut early on.
When the game was released, Nintendo launched a cross-promotion with Blockbuster. Players could bring their Pokemon Snap cartridge to a participating store, plug it into a sticker station kiosk, and print stickers of their in-game photos. The promotion only lasted for a little over a year. The sticker stations themselves have since become collector's items, selling for as much as $1,000 with all the parts included. This feature was also emulated in Pokemon Snap's Virtual Console release. While viewing their album, the player can press the minus button to post a photo to the Wii message board where it can be shared with other players. This made Pokemon Snap one of the first Virtual Console games to receive enhanced features from the original version. The game has some interesting references hidden within it. Lapras can be found in the beach level, but when it's first seen, it's extremely far away, making it difficult to get a decent picture. Coupled with Lapras's design, this appears to be an allusion to the Loch Ness Monster and the notoriously low-quality photos the creature appeared in. In the valley level, the player can evolve Magikarp into Gyarados by forcing it into a waterfall. This process is seemingly inspired by Chinese folklore. According to a legend, there is a waterfall located on the Yellow River that's known as the Dragon Gate. If a carp can manage to fling itself over the top of the waterfall, it will be transformed into a dragon. Illustrations of fish jumping over the dragon's gate are enduring Chinese cultural symbols for courage and accomplishment.
Despite its status as a spin-off, Pokemon Snap represents a number of firsts for the franchise. Pokemon Gold and Silver were the first games to feature Pokemon breeding, but Pokemon Snap was the first game to include Pokemon hatching from eggs. On top of this, Pokemon Snap was the first game in the series to feature dubbed voices for the Pokemon themselves, using the actual voice actors from the anime series. The main character of the game also appeared in the anime as a character himself. In the original dubbed broadcast of the show, he was named Todd. However, in the VHS releases, his name was Snap. When Pokemon Snap was released on the Virtual Console in 2007, Pokemon.com announced that the episodes of the show featuring Todd would be added to Toonami's streaming service. In the announcement, they gave him the full name of Todd Snap to clear up the confusion. After its release, Pokemon Snap became a fan favorite. In a poll on Kotaku where Shigeru Miyamoto asked fans what game they'd like to see made for the Wii U, a new Pokemon Snap was the second most requested game overall. Pokemon Snap has also inspired other games, such as the indie survival game Lacuna Passage. Some fans have even modded the game to work with Oculus Rift. Despite this reception, Junichi Masuda, the producer of the Pokemon series, has expressed little interest in making a new Pokemon Snap game. Speaking to Polygon, Masuda stated, "Photography wasn't as widely spread in those days. Now everyone has a camera and can take photos whenever they want. Releasing that in the same form wouldn't be as interesting these days. Maybe there's a new idea, though."
In a later interview about the game's potential on the Wii U, he reiterated, "It's really popular, we get this a lot. If they were to create another one, they'd probably need to come up with some kind of new invention to make it fresh. Of course, everyone thinks of the gamepad, but whoever made it would have to come up with something unexpected. Pokemon Snap was developed by HAL originally, which is now part of Nintendo. I'm the director at the Pokemon Company, and we're certainly not stopping it from coming out."
Don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know Gaming for more facts and trivia. Before you go, we'd like you to vote on what you want to see covered in the future. You can also vote by leaving a comment below. And hey, if you're as big of a fan of Pokemon as we are, head on over to the Dex where we cover trivia and battle strategy for a new Pokemon each week. There's tons of other stuff on our channel too, like a complete playthrough of Pokemon Snap. It's totally related. Otherwise, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.